What's up, everyone? Welcome to the February 11th edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, you get one free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks. Be sure to use the code Awesemo to receive a 100% first deposit bonus up to $100. Today, we're going to take a look at 5 of the top tournament options on DraftKings. As always, be sure to tune into the deeper dive and live before lock in the 2 hours leading up until tip. We'll have more information then, both on who is available after being traded yesterday and also more injury information, hopefully. But for right now, taking a look at 5 of the top tournament options as things currently stand. Number 5, Clint Capela, projected for 9% ownership with an 11% chance of being in the optimal lineup. We really can have no confidence in Clint Capela's playing time at this point. He hasn't been closing games. He's barely, you're lucky at this point if you get 24 or 25 minutes from him, but we still know that he's a 1.14 DraftKings point per minute guy this season, and he's only $5,300 on DraftKings. So what that means essentially is that if he only plays his normal, at this point, 22 or 23 minutes, he can still get there because he's a very good point per minute guy. But if for any reason he does happen to get 25 or 26 minutes, he's likely to do very well at this price point. And additionally, there's not a ton of opportunity cost at the center position tonight. You have Nikola Jokic on the slate. You have Nikola Vucevic. Um, but Rudy Gobert seems likely to play. If he does, that would, for example, take Hassan Whiteside out of play. But either way, it's just a lot of teams that actually don't really have great centers. You have Embiid on the slate as well, but there's just not quite as much opportunity cost at the position, and obviously on DraftKings you can roster 2 of them as well. So taking some shots at Capela, at least the way things look right now, makes some sense. Number 4, Evan Mobley, projected for 10% ownership with a 13% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He has power forward and center eligibility. He is $6,700 taking on the Indiana Pacers. Mobley is around a fantasy point per minute guy. He's likely to play 34 or 35 minutes. Darius Garland is out for the Cavs. That potentially can open up a little bit more for Mobley, although you do now have Karis LeVert. I expect that we'll see LeVert play a few more minutes than he did last game. He obviously is a high usage guy that also can make plays. So we don't necessarily see a big bump in production for Mobley, but one way or the other, he should get enough minutes and is just a good enough player in his own right that he offers some upside here at relatively low ownership. Number 3, Lonnie Walker, projected for 10% ownership with a 15% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Walker is a $4,200 shooting guard slash small forward on DraftKings. The Spurs are shorthanded. They traded Derek White to the Celtics yesterday. In return, they got Josh Richardson and Romeo Langford. Neither of Richardson or Langford are going to be available tonight. So there are minutes here. I expect that you see Devin Vassell start in place of White, but there's still minutes available off the bench for Lonnie Walker to pick up. He's around a 0.9 fantasy point per minute player and is not priced for any sort of uptick in minutes. So he looks like a pretty strong value option here. Number 2, Buddy Hield, $5,100, shooting guard, small forward eligibility. Right now he's only projected for 5% ownership, and he has a 12% chance of being in the optimal lineup. The reason I'm interested in Hield at low ownership is twofold. For one, he's not very expensive, and for two, I think there's a lot of uncertainty around exactly what his role is going to look like with Indiana in terms of both playing time and opportunity. We have Malcolm Brogdon questionable for the Pacers. If Brogdon is in, then I think it muddies the water even more for Hield. But at 5%, you can still take shots at him. If Brogdon is out, maybe you see the ownership on Hield come up a little bit, but his chances of success would also increase because in that situation, you basically just have Hield and Halliburton as the only 2 high usage guys on the Pacers. Lance Stevenson will take some shots. Chris Duarte will take some shots, but it really should just be the Halliburton and Hield show at that point. And Hield is still priced to be playing for the Kings, playing 26 minutes a night at 0.9 fantasy points per minute. I think you see both of those numbers increase going forward with the Pacers. Number 1, out can't pronounce his first name. Pokusevski, projected for 9% ownership, 18% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He's 3,500, small forward, power forward, eligible. And he's risky because he plays for Oklahoma City, and you never can really be that confident in what the Thunder are going to do. But there's a couple of things that I like to target in situations like that. For one, I obviously prefer cheaper players because it gives you a little bit more margin for error. You can be wrong on the playing time and then still get there just because they're cheap and they do well in fewer minutes than you anticipated, but also guys that can play multiple positions. And that's the case with Pokusevski. It makes it easier for him to be on the floor. He also would probably play if this game gets out of hand, which is certainly likely, with Oklahoma City being a 13-point dog to Philadelphia. In his last couple of games, you got 26 minutes for Pokusevski. Then he played a game in the G League, so he wasn't with Oklahoma City. Then he came back and played 30 minutes off the bench. At $3,500, he looks like a very strong value option. So to recap, the top 5 tournament options on DraftKings as things currently stand. Number 5, Clint Capela. Number 4, Evan Mobley. Number 3, Lonnie Walker. Number 2, Buddy Hield. And number 1, Aleksej Pokusevski.